It definitely feels like an expansion outside of what we've normally and typically done. The status of recovery resources. Well, we have 11 operational houses with a total of about 118 men. We have number 12 in a holding pattern in Gate City, Virginia. We're working on getting that one fully operational. And honestly, the state of Virginia, like Virginia Department of Correction, the city of Gate City, like the people that live in the city, most of the people that work in the city have been incredibly excited and supportive. So we've just got a couple things we have to walk through to be able to get that running. So with that house open, we'll have 130 people that we can serve across programming. So all of that's really cool, right? We've recently started focusing on family engagement, which I'm really excited about. That's always been something that means a lot to me. So we've decided to be intentional about daddies and their kids. There's a lot of research that says that, you know, the presence of a father significantly impacts a child going forward and what they can do with their life. And so we really want to be intentional about what role we play in that for dads and their kids. So that's exciting to me.
What's that look like? What's the intentional part look like?
The intentional part is being specific about the events that we host and the things that we do in the community, and making sure that dads know, hey, we want you to bring your kids. Because I think it's always been that way. We've always had it wide open for that, but I don't know that we've ever been intentional about saying to them, we want you to bring your kids. We want them to be there. So that's part of it. We're also partnering with some community organizations to plan for some events next year. We want to do some increased opportunity for like father peer mentorship, like dads in recovery who've walked out this process, to be able to mentor to new men coming in who have not yet learned to be a father, or who don't have a lot of experience with navigating that clean and sober, because it looks different. So that's kind of our plan right now, which we're super excited about. I feel like it's gonna be, powerful in the long run. We've been working with a couple dads and their kiddos in the recent months to try to see what that's gonna look like and how we can evolve and grow from that. So I think that's gonna be somewhere. It's kind of going to be a springboard, and I'm excited to see where it takes us from there.
For sure, it's one could argue it's like the first bit of serious programmatic branch, like out the side of the sober living and then the furniture, like something that's very, like as you said, intentional.
It's definitely it definitely feels like an expansion. Outside of what we've normally and typically done, which is exciting and also petrifying for someone like me. I tend to get comfortable in what I'm doing, and so the thought of doing something entirely different can be scary, but that's where we grow, that's where we learn, that's how we get better, that's how our community gets better. We've always operated from a place of, we identify a need and we go about figuring out how to meet the need. And one of the things that we saw was we have a ton of dads who have no idea how to navigate reunification with their kids. They have no idea how to navigate building a healthy relationship with the mother of their children, whether they're together or not, the co-parenting role and what that looks like. And so we really want to look at how we can support that so that the men in our program leave with as much of an opportunity to go out and do cool stuff as possible.
Amen. I asked you these next two questions like maybe two years ago, but see where your answers are with them now. What do you think the biggest obstacles for recovery resources are within this community?
I've been thinking about that as we're trying to look at what our next steps are and where we want to go from here. I mean, with housing, I think the biggest barriers obviously are how do we reach communities that are underserved while maintaining the integrity of what we do, right? Because that's so important to me, and that's been something that I have held on to since we've started doing this, and so it's super
Maintaining
important.
the integrity?
Yes, yes. So it's super important to me that as we expand, we replicate what we're doing and we don't lose any of the meat of it as we get bigger. So I think that's a definite barrier. How do we reach those underserved communities around us that just don't have a lot of the opportunities we have here? I think programmatically, like as a whole, that kind of sounds a little hokey, but I think really the biggest barrier is us. Like what are we willing to do? What do we feel like we're capable of doing? There's always a need for so many things when it comes to our communities here in Southern Appalachian Mountains. There's lots of barriers, and so we can do a lot with it. It's just what are we willing to do? How far are we willing to stretch? How hard are we willing to work? And I think that's probably the biggest barrier that we face right now, is just kind of deciding where do we go next and what do we want to do with it. We've been blessed to have, the community surrounds us and has loved on us since we started. And because of that, we've been able to be here now. And so it's just thinking about how do we continue to be good stewards of what we've been gifted, and how do we continue to carry that out going forward.
Yeah, so access to the communities and then our own intentionalness about what we do and how we do it. What is recovery resources to you today? What does it mean to you today?
Recovery resources today, it feels like more than anything else, we try to provide opportunities. When we started this, I had no idea the opportunities it would afford me, right? Just as a human being a part of this thing. Like, I didn't know what that would look like. I didn't know how far it would go. I had dreams and hopes and aspirations, but I often get overwhelmed when I look back at kind of where we started, when we first started talking about what this was going to look like, and we would sit and pore over policies and procedures for hours. You remember that? Like, that was crazy. And so now, for me, it's afforded me a life where I really feel like I just have the coolest job in the world. I mean, I literally get to just love on people kind of all the time. And I never saw that as my future. I never saw that as what I would be doing. And when you look at me, I don't know that you think, she's the one that loves on all the people. But that's what I get to do. I told somebody this the other day, like when I had my son 10 years ago, I had no idea the full extent of boy mom that I would become. But that's ultimately what it feels like. Like I get to love on all of these people, not just the guys in the program, but their kids, their families. Like I talk to their moms and their grandmas and their sisters, and just get to really connect with a whole bunch of different humans in a lot of different capacities. And that's what Recovery Resources has given me. And then the best thing I can do is try to give that to the people that I encounter when they come into the program or when they try to access the program. Just let them know, we're gonna love on you. It might not always look the way you think it should, but we're gonna love on you. We're gonna see how far we can take you while you're with us.
Well, you said, look at you said that I already counted that, but if you talk to anybody, any of the guys, I think they would validate that statement.
That's my hope.
Well, it's factual. If you could talk to anybody, not just being a person in recovery, not just the recovery resources portion of it, somebody who's still struggling, that knows something's wrong, doesn't necessarily know what's wrong, maybe how to fix it, what would you offer them? Motivational?
I feel like the thing I needed to hear, that people may have said, but I don't know that I heard them say it, is that you're worth saving. I can remember right before I got sober, being convinced that I wasn't worth the time and energy it would take for me to get better. Whether it be my time and energy or someone else's, because I didn't know. And I remember being convinced it wouldn't be worth it. None of us really know the full potential or the full capacity of what our life can look like. I don't think that's something we have the ability to perceive. And to sell ourselves short, especially through addiction, and not be willing to seek the support it takes to get better, is really just not giving ourselves a chance to do what's intended for us. And we don't know what that is. I had no idea I would be running Men's Sober Living like that. If you'd have asked me, honestly, even 7 years ago, I would have laughed at the idea. And so I think for someone who's still struggling and who doesn't know the way out, I think I just want them to hear that there is a way out. It doesn't necessarily have to be my way, but there's a way out. It doesn't have to be this way forever. And it's gonna be weird, and it's gonna be awkward, and it's gonna be uncomfortable, but it's worth it. It's so worth it. And there's people who will help you. You don't have to do it by yourself.
Reach out to you.
Yeah, you can reach out to any of us here at Recovery Resources. You can reach out to any of the staff. You can go to our website. There's contact information there. Our phone numbers and emails are posted everywhere. If you go to any of the local anti-drug coalitions, they will direct you to resources. The Lifeline coordinator, he will connect you to resources. Obviously the local treatment centers, Frontier Health, Turning Point, CCS. There's help. More help now than there's ever been.